Yeah.
Well, we are literally meeting for the first time in the toilet.
I certainly hope it's for the first time in the toilet. Yes.
If you don't mind, can you tell me your
Yeah.
name?
My name is I'm Martin Ayob. I am the editor of Pinball News, and I'm a UK player. And I used to be a top tournament player,
Okay.
but I gave that up a couple of years ago in order to concentrate on enjoying myself, basically.
Okay.
And I travel the world, and I report on pinball events wherever I find them.
That's amazing.
It is. It's absolutely wonderful. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the best jobs. I used
Well,
to know.
if it was a job, that would be great. Yeah.
Well,
Unfortunately,
okay,
it's a hobby, so it's self-funded.
But it's so you're not Pinball News doesn't, you don't have like 10,000 people buying it from you every month.
Pinball News. The tagline is first and free.
Okay.
So first with the news, the real news,
Yeah.
not the rumor. The first with the news and free of charge, free of opinion.
Okay.
So nobody makes any money out of this. I pay for everything,
and
the hosting, the travelling. No, there's no financial aspect to it.
okay, but I mean, you apparently you did something earlier in life that allows you to travel the world and.
Well, I'm still
report on
employed.
pinball.
I still work for the BBC, where I do graphics for BBC News, and which pays for my travels.
Wow, so you're one of those new workers, but you've been doing it for a long time. So you've been able to work with the BBC free of where you live.
Yeah, I've been working for the BBC since 1983.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm rapidly approaching the retirement age, but I'm able to spend my free time travelling around and enjoying everything to do with the pinball world, and of which there is a huge amount, including podcasts like this, the podcast that I do with Jonathan from Pinball Magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and visiting shows. And recently I was at Pinball Expo. Next year I'll be at the Texas Pinball Show. There is the UK Pinball Show in Daventry, where we go to UK Pin Fest, and I go to lots of places, and I'm fortunate. I consider myself fortunate to be able to travel around the world and go to places such as where we are here in Rotterdam.
Yeah, at the museum. Do you know another museum like this? Another pinball museum like this?
There are an awful lot of places that call themselves museum, but I think this is probably the epitome of what a museum should be.
Yeah.
It has huge numbers of exhibits. Basically, everywhere you walk around, you can just look at. If you're not playing the games, you could look, and there's a cabinet there full of exhibits that are really interesting, and it's educational, which is what a museum really has to be.
Yeah.
And it kind of winds me up a little bit that I see places that call themselves a museum, but they're just a collection of games. But this here in Rotterdam, the Dutch Pinball Museum is a museum.
Yeah. And I noticed that the first time I came in here, because I only know we call ourselves a museum, off the highway somewhere in the United States when you're traveling around and stuff, collections of collections. And it was never very inspiring. It was kind of cool to see a bunch of machines together. But when I walked in here for the first time, I was on fire for pinball.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that an awful lot of places, for financial reasons, need to call themselves a museum in order to get that tax break. But no, the Hall of Fame in Las Vegas has an amazing collection of games there.
Yeah.
But they have a very limited educational aspect to them, and I think that's something which is vital if you're going to call yourself a museum.
Yeah.
The Seattle Pinball Museum does that to a certain extent, and I think they do what they do in the space they have available, and all credit to them. Charlie and Cindy, they do an amazing job. But when you walk into here, you don't even need to play a game. You can walk around and just look, and you can walk out 2 hours, 3 hours later, and you've learned a huge amount about the history of pinball, and how pinballs are made, and I think that's fantastic, and that's what really needs to be promoted. And so, huge kudos to Gerard for what he's done here.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I'm sure he does too, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm on record a lot of times saying that, and I'm glad. When I first moved to Germany, the first place I went was Hamburg, Germany, which was one of my favorite cities in the world. And
Yeah,
I've always
understood.
said I'm so happy that that's where I landed and not some place in the south, with like 800 people living there, because I would have never wanted to stay. And I feel like Gerard is my Hamburg for pinball. I showed up here at the museum and just said I want to know more about pinball, and he's been very facilitating to that.
No, I visited him at the old location, and it was impressive there. But coming to the new one here,
Yeah.
it's just it's what I saw there squared. It's just amazing, and I think he's not even just resting on his laurels. He's just pushing the boundaries more and more and more, and adding more exhibits, more new games. Now, where else can you come and play Balls Are Popping, for
Yeah.
instance? It's incredible, and I would thoroughly encourage everybody to come and visit.
Well, let's talk about tournament play.
Mm.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about tournament play.
Right.
This is we're at the Dutch Pinball Open, which is a tournament, and if I understand it correctly, the Dutch champion is gonna be crowned here, and then goes on to the World Championship. That's kind of how I feel it might work. But can you take us back to when did you start playing tournaments?
Oh, tournaments for me started back in, let's imagine, it was really back about early 90s,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not the guy to speak to about tournament play, because I kind of gave all that up and skewed it.
Yeah, but you're the
Fairly
guy who can tell
recently.
me what it was like in the 90s.
Yeah, it was great because it was expanding, and it
Yeah.
gave you a huge amount of opportunity to build on the tournament scene.
Yeah.
When you're starting from nothing, anything you add is always positive.
Yeah.
And we built a lot of leagues, and we built tournaments, and now I started off running tournaments at the UK show, the very first UK show back in '95, I think it was, when I ran the Pinball News High School tournament, and then '96 repeated it, and then it turned into the UK Pinball Open, which I then ran every year through till, well, basically 2020, I suppose, really.
So you probably then defined kind of how tournaments go and what's best practice.
Well,
and
to
how
an
it works.
extent, but there was always this kind of mismatch between the way tournaments ran in the US and the way tournaments ran in the rest of the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, US tournaments were always pay to play, pump and dump, as I like to call them these days.
Okay.
You could keep buying more and more entries, as many as you wanted, until you qualified. Whereas everywhere else outside the US and probably outside North America, you would have a fixed number of attempts.
Okay.
And if you didn't qualify within those, then you're out.
Okay.
Whereas US style was you buy more and more entries. There's the PAPA system. You keep buying more and more cards until you either have qualified or you run out of time.
Yeah. Okay.
And all that built the pot up,
Yeah.
which is great because it's all about building the prize.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, the money was never the issue.
Yeah.
It was all about the prestige of winning the actual event.
But
So
I mean, can you just in the theory of it, right? So let's just say you've got the two systems. Wouldn't the one just allow a bunch of dumb people to pump their money into it, so the people that would be more likely to win anyway would win?
to an extent, I mean, the argument was always the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah,
That was always the argument.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what.
But the counter argument to that was that by allowing unlimited numbers of plays, you could potentially stop people who didn't have enough funds
Yeah.
to buy enough entries getting into the finals.
Yeah.
So who could potentially have win it? No. So, well, we always went for the principle, well, equalise the playing
Yeah.
platform. Everybody had an equal number of attempts. Be it
If they
5,
want
6, 10, whatever. And if that is not enough, and it should be enough, if you're a good player, you should be able to get in. There's a number of times you see people I was talking to Frank Bonner just now, and he's saying, "Well, I played in the Classics tournament here, and I played on my first entry, and that probably is going to qualify me because that's all I need."
Yeah.
You know, and you think, well, if you're a good enough player, you should be able to get in. You should be consistent enough to qualify with very few entries.
You shouldn't
need that.
Is there a handicap in pinball? I mean, can I play in the same tournament with somebody who's like considerably better than me?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
do I play with a handicap?
No, there is no handicap system. No, everybody is totally equal at the start. You either qualify or you don't.
Is that something that everybody's agreed upon? That handicaps aren't a thing?
I don't think it's even been considered. To be honest, I think everybody starts off with a level playing field, and no one benefits from any seeding or anything.
Yeah.
You know, in the qualifying stage, you know, you either get in, and then how well you do in qualifying will benefit you later.
Yeah.
As far as the number of buys through various rounds you get, but no, I don't think there's any kind of presupposed skill level.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Gagno?
Oh, I know Robert. Well, yeah.
Do you know him personally? Or
I do know Robert. Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I mean he and his father Mauricio. They took us around Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah, I went up to there to see them, and they were showing us around the various sites in Vancouver. It's a beautiful. Robert's a hugely talented player.
If I prove myself worthy to you over time, I would very much like an introduction. Very much.
Oh,
so, because he's
do anything I can. Obviously,
he's the reason. Like when I was sitting there and I was okay. This is call it a weird midlife situation, right? So I'm in a situation where I'm not gonna stay where I'm working, and it just didn't work out. But we're cool with each other, and I'm just figuring out what am I gonna do now. I've got a lot of skills. I'm a good salesperson. Got a lot of network. I can just go get a job, no problem. But I want to do something that I actually enjoy doing.
Yes.
And I want to be part of something that's actually making me feel good when I do it. And I was just looking around, like what opportunities there are, what maybe even inspiration I can get. And a buddy of mine has a pinball machine. That's how this whole thing got started. But the night I saw the documentary that only 687 people on YouTube had seen, and I woke up the next morning thinking that this guy's story has to be, everybody has to see this. This guy needs to be famous. And then I saw another documentary where basically his mom was saying like, well, now he's getting old and he has needs and we're getting old, and what she's painting is a picture of, we don't know exactly how it's going to work out with our son. And have you ever seen his LinkedIn profile? Have you ever
I haven't seen
it?
his LinkedIn profile. No, I mean I'm obviously aware of his autistic the element that he has to overcome, and it's fantastic what he's achieved over the years.
Absolutely, this guy is amazing.
Yeah, I mean I've seen him so many times, and he's brilliant, and all power to him. You know, I was honoured to spend an awful lot of time with Robert, and I've seen him play so many times, and he's an absolutely brilliant player, and I have nothing but admiration for him and everything he has achieved over the years.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Is it? I want to read his profile description of himself, but for some reason I'm not finding it on LinkedIn. And he's in Vancouver.
He certainly is. Yes.
So here we go. All right. So this is this dude. I had tears in my eyes when I read this, because it was one of the most humbling things I've ever read. So he's a file clerk at Van City in Vancouver. This amazing story, and then I read this, and I wasn't sure whether it was him, but I was when I finished this. Okay, I work at a job that I enjoy. I can type very quickly without having to look at my keyboard. I have the motivation, focus, persistence, and precision, and the ability to follow instructions. I'm a Canucks fan, and I also enjoy other sports such as basketball, baseball, football, and soccer. I'm the current 2016 World Pinball Champion. That's his description.
So humble. Eh?
That's amazing, right?
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, and if you do get a chance to meet him, I'd thoroughly recommend doing so, because he is as humble as that sounds, and he's a talented guy. and he's just basically shown to so many people that having the autism that he has not held him back in that regard. In fact, almost the opposite.
I think what he's showing people, and this is the story that I'd like to try and get my brain wrapped around, because I don't understand the economics of his life. Like, I don't understand achieving what you achieve, and then and the world not dumping wealth on you, because he should have enough to travel around the world in a way that's comfortable for him and make things happen for people that are like him. And I think the story that he tells with his dad and pinball and all this kind of stuff, I grew up as someone that's not on the spectrum of anything, maybe a little bit, but it just was undiagnosed. But I grew up in a world where flashing lights and things like that, it's not what you did with autism kids. And so there's a whole generation of people, and they're just now waking up to the fact that there's differences and there's different types of people, and they react to different types of things. And I think his story could and should be an inspiration to a lot of therapists, and that's the kind of thing that I'm saying. Like, let's start. Let's get therapy figured out so that people can come here with their autistic children and see, is this something that they resonate with?
Absolutely understood. But you have to understand that pinball, competitive pinball, is not a wealthy business.
No, I get it.
Yeah, you can win the world championship, but you won't be rich.
No. That's a weird thing for me to get my brain wrapped around. But the story that he has to tell is one that people have to hear, whether he's getting rich doing it or whether he's not. I think it's unfortunate that we live in a world that he's not. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think it's unfortunate that the things that he achieved, which is my mind, 1,000 times more than anybody who has ever done it before him has achieved, just based on all the things that he had to get over. I think it's an amazing thing.
It is. It's a story worth telling, and worth relaying to other people as well.
I'd also like to know the guys who did the people. There's 2 documentary films about it. I'd also like to meet those people, and I think the Gagnos could probably get me in touch with them, because they did a really excellent job of the videos too.
Well, quite right. Yes. That's the. I'm trying to remember who was who made the documentary.
I don't know.
Joel and Dina.
I have no idea.
Dana, rather. Did one of them. I don't know who the other ones were,
okay.
But it's an inspiring story and an uplifting story, and basically, pinball stories really are generally uplifting and enjoyable. I don't know whether you've had a chance to see the recent Roger Sharp movie.
No,
Pinball, the man who saved the game.
Yeah,
I was fortunate enough to go to the international premiere of that in London.
Oh, really?
Just last week, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'd absolutely recommend anybody who ever goes to the movies, go and see that, because it's not a pinball movie. I took my partner, who if I said to her, "No, this is a pinball movie," she would have not even wanted to go. But still, it's a comedy romance drama set against the background of pinball, and she loved it. And we were fortunate enough to be at the Rain Dance 30th anniversary closing night, where the Roger Sharp movie was chosen as the closing movie.
Yeah.
And they had a Q&A afterwards as well, where Roger was there and the directors were there and the lead actor, Mike Face, was there. And the producers were there, and they did a Q&A afterwards. And it was really, really good. And not just because of all that. The movie was good.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of movie which I think needs to be have much wider distribution, because it's not about pinball. It's set against the background of pinball, but it's a proper story.
Yeah. Well,
that's what the world needs.
Yeah,
More stories about making pinball mainstream, rather than it being this little niche thing.
Yeah. Why do you think it's a niche thing?
I don't know, because I think it shouldn't be.
Is it still that gambling thing from back in the 20s?
No, I don't think it's that. Although that's obviously what the movie's about. It's based around the banning of pinball in New York. Yeah. But no, I think it's because I don't know. It's because it's not something that's in the public consciousness enough.
Yeah,
it is there, and no, if you put pinballs in a bar, everybody will play.
Yeah.
No, youngsters will play. 20, 30, 40s will play the game because they love it. But you make a movie about it, I don't know, it's a bit different. You can use it in advertising, in commercials, and people will get it. But
that's a good way of putting it. It's well known enough that people know what it is.
Yeah,
but most people don't have an association with it.
It's not scary, I don't think, in any way. But maybe it's not something that people naturally associate themselves with these days.
Well, I think it died out, and I think it died out. Well, we all know it died out because of greed and just mismanagement and going stale. And there's a lot of different things that happen. But the business model never worked. Yeah, the business model, since the
business
50s,
model of ownership, or
of operating them. It's a high maintenance, basically low yield on it. But the business model of the 80s and 90s, it just didn't work. As soon as something else came that took a little bit of business away from pinball, it started becoming not attractive for the businesses that were doing
I think I'd actually pick you up on that, because I mean, what would you say is the little something which came along that took people away from that?
There were different times of different things. I mean, Pac-Man did it. The arcade games that were cheaper to operate and cheaper, and they had less maintenance. That did it in the 80s, and then in the 90s. I don't know what the one little thing was. I don't know if it was any one little thing. I mean, kids playing on phones, maybe kids playing with.
But being somebody who's travelled, like I go to Pinball Expo and then I go down to Chicago after Pinball Expo, and I go to the barcades down there, and they have 30, 40, 50 machines set up, and there are lots of them.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily making the money on the pinball. They're making the money on the beer, obviously. But it's that combination. It's that unique aspect of, here's a barcade. Now, you can play pinball, you can drink beer.
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
People do. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Logan Arcade in Chicago is the epitome of that. They have a fantastic collection of pinballs. How much the money they make on the pinballs, I think is probably... 20%? But the 80% that they make at the bar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was in one of those in October. I went to Alabama, and in Atlanta, Georgia, there was one called my parents' basement, and it was the same exact thing. And I thought it was really cool because in Germany, there's really nowhere you can go drinking with your kids, right? So we were playing pinball while we were drinking beer, which was kind of a cool novelty. But I don't think that's big enough to replace the business that used to be pinball. I mean, that's what pinball used to be was way bigger than that, and I'm hoping we can my part of that is going to be to try and bring it into businesses for team building.
Well, it's true that that pinball used to be the driver of visitors to a location.
Yeah.
Now it's the supporting act, if you like, But because of the nature of it, it's also novel enough that you can add pinball to a bar and make it a barcade.
Yeah.
And therefore it is, a unique location.
Yeah.
And therefore you don't necessarily make the money. We have this in the UK as well. Now we have pubs called Brewdogs, which are also in the US, and they have 6, 7, 8 pinball machines in the bar, and people come and they play the pinballs, but they drink the beer. And that was always the disconnect for me. When we used to have a pinball machine in a bar or in a pub, there was never the link between the money that the pinball took and the money that the players spent at the bar.
Yeah.
People would spend money at the bar, but it was never linked back to they're only here because the pinball machines are here.
Yeah.
And the pinball machines didn't take a lot of money because the players were relatively good and they were getting replays, and free credits, so they weren't paying a lot of money on the machines. But they were spending money at the bar, they were buying snacks, but those two were never financially linked.
Okay.
So if you're looking at the business model of that bar, you say, well, we earn a lot of money behind the bar, we don't make much money at the pinball machines.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of the pinball machines.
Of course.
And then people don't come.
People can sit there. That's a lot of space.
Yeah, that's right. They can put another couple of tables there, they can serve more meals. But then all those people aren't buying drinks, they're not buying food.
Yeah. I was in a bar in Berlin 2 weeks ago. maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said to a buddy, like, let's go see if there's pinball somewhere. He said, I know a place there's pinball. And we went halfway across the city. It took us 25 minutes to get there, and I walk in, and it was literally a Godzilla, but they had like 9 people sitting around it, and drinks were on it, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I was just like, well, we can't play pinball there. So we just sat in the bar and drank.
But if you look at the financials of that bar, yeah, they're making a lot of money on the drinks.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're making no money on the pinball.
Well, it looks good in the corner with beer on it.
Yeah.
It's
But
an expensive
But
table.
those people are there and they're buying drinks and
Absolutely.
they're spending money in the bar because you have a pinball machine.
Yeah.
But how do you link that up in a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work, does it?
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see where this all goes. It was amazing talking to you, and I'm actually blown away a little bit that because I haven't mentioned Robert to anybody yet, and I took a shot in the dark. So let's stay in touch as far as that's concerned. Are you going to be here all night?
I'm here all weekend.
Perfect.
If there's anything you need from me, please feel free to ask. I'm presenting a quiz.
Okay.
We presented one this evening with my friend Jonathan, who runs Pinball Magazine, where we give away a load of crap.
Okay.
Really good stuff. Translights, plastics, books, magazines, posters. And we're doing another one tomorrow afternoon, which is what we do here and at the Texas Pinball Festival
Okay.
as well. So
When's the Texas Pinball Festival?
that'll be I'm guessing the end of March next year.
Okay, I keep hearing about it.
It's a fantastic show. You should definitely go to Ed and Kim put on an amazing show there, along with the Paul and all the organisers of that event. We go every single year and we do our quiz there. We tend to do it in the bar
Okay.
because it's normally the sort of lead-off seminar of the entire show. So we in the bar they have a sort of happy hour. They call it manager's reception, where it's free drinks.
Okay.
And so we do our quiz there, and the quiz is so simple that anybody can win prizes at it. And I don't think anybody walks away from our quizzes without having won prizes.
Good thing you told me that. Now I'm gonna go. I was
should
just
definitely
thinking I
go.
should avoid it anyway. You're gonna do another one tonight?
We'll do one tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon. Basically, we collect together a bunch of prizes. So we already have all the prizes for tomorrow. Half of them went today, half of them go tomorrow.
Okay.
And we just do a whole bunch of questions on the projector. It's like, here's a question, is it this or is it this? And if you think it's that, you go over that side of the room. If you think it's the other, go to the other side of the room.
Okay.
If you're right, carry on. If you're wrong, sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, until we've got through. We get to about 3 people. We give everybody prizes.
Okay.
And then we start another round.
Yeah.
And we keep going. We do about 10 rounds. So by the end of it, everybody's won something. And if you haven't won anything, then there are prizes for people to pick up on the way out. So
Very good.
everybody wins something.
That's good to hear.
So our aim is at the end of the day, we've given away everything.
Oh, those are the best kind of people to be around.
And it's all free. And the worst case is that, you play the odds. 50-50. You either win or you lose. And if you lose, then you're out this round and you get into the next round.
Perfect.
So, I thoroughly recommend joining our So Unique, So You Think You Know Pinball quiz, either here or at the Texas show.
Okay.
And, in March, at the end of March next year.
Where everybody wins.
Yeah, everybody wins, except for us. Whereas we just give stuff away.
All right. Well, it's good. It was great having you here.
Absolute pleasure.
I'm going to be talking to Gerard into doing more of these more often, so I hope we can have you
I
again.
thoroughly recommend podcasts. Jonathan and I do one ourselves. So
That's what Gerard was telling me. I think I'm going to listen to that on the way home tomorrow.
yeah, we do our Pinball Industry News pincast. So, but that's just factual. That's not sort of opinionated so much.
Yeah.
But we just report back on the previous month's news
Yeah.
at the start of every month. So, recommend you listen to that, as that's my blatant plug. And visit pinballnews.com for my own stuff, and Pinball Magazine for my colleague Jonathan's
Perfect.
stuff. And thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
No problem. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.